Er moet altijd accountability zijn en dat is waar deze conflict zit.
Ja, en die Oekraïners...
Ik zie een seintje dat ik echt moet gaan bewegen.
Jullie moeten echt gaan?
Ja, ik doe het al een keer.
Hello, good morning everyone. Good morning, it's Michael McGrath, EU Commissioner for Democracy, Justice, the Rule of Law and Consumer Protection. Thrilled to be here today with my colleague, the HRVP, Kaja Kallas, to sign the convention on behalf of the European Union on the establishment of the International Claims Commission for Ukraine. This is a very significant milestone that is being achieved today. HRVP Kallas and I received the formal council mandate from the European Union this morning to officially sign the convention on behalf of the European Union. I want to commend all of those who have been involved in the work to get us to this point, principally the Council of Europe for their leadership in pulling together so many different stakeholders and actors in what is an enormous international effort to ensure that there is accountability and that there is justice. And from our point of view within the European Union, there can be no peace without justice, and there needs to be accountability for the Russian crimes in Ukraine, and there also needs to be reparations for the horrific damage and loss of life that has been caused, whether it be the death of civilians or soldiers, the damage to property, families who have had members who have endured very serious harm and injury, and of course we've had children who have been essentially abducted and brought to Russia, and other grievous harms caused to people, including too many incidents of sexual violence perpetrated against women in Ukraine. So fundamentally, today is about ensuring that we get the architecture in place, that there can ultimately be justice, accountability and reparations for the people of Ukraine, because that is an essential element in a just and lasting peace that we all are striving to achieve, coming up now to the 4th anniversary of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine.
There's a problem with the funding of the claims. Well, it's quite in the future. And there is unity in Europe about the funding. What is your point of view on this problem?
I think the immediate priority in relation to this project is to get the Commission formally established. And as you know, there will be discussions in the next 48 hours or so at European Council level in relation to the reparations loan proposal that the Commission has made to meet the financing needs of Ukraine over the period ahead. And as part of that, we have enabled that provision could be made for funding from the reparations loan arrangement to ultimately form part of the pot of funding which will be used to pay reparations. So there will be many other funding needs in Ukraine over the period ahead, including reconstruction and the funding of essential public services and so on. But we have to get the legal architecture in place, and today is a very significant milestone in achieving that legal architecture. And once we get this in place, we will then at least have the platform and the basis for providing for claims to be registered, building on the good work of the Register of Damage. And it's very striking to note that even already some 86,000 individual damages have been registered with the Register of Damage, and we now want to incorporate that work into the Claims Commission and then allow the next steps to be taken, including putting in place the funding plan. But fundamentally, Russia needs to pay for the harm that it caused in Ukraine, and that is the reality, and that must be vindicated in the course of the negotiations over the period ahead. Thank you all very much.
And sir, is it also needed for the Dutch press agency to have a discussion on the question what if Russia doesn't pay off, not now, not later?
Well, that's not a scenario that we are countenancing, and we are not planning on the basis of Russia not paying, because...
Is that not a realistic scenario?
Because they cannot be allowed to wipe the slate clean and get away scot-free with the enormous harms that they have caused in Ukraine. there must be accountability, there must be justice, and there must be reparations. So were we to come forward today or tomorrow with a plan B or a plan C, that lets them off the hook.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be let off the hook. That's the position of the European Union, and that's why we are proud to be signing the convention today on the establishment of the Claims Commission.
Is it an option, though, that member states pay up front, so Russia will pay up later?
Well, our position is that Russia needs to pay for the cost of the damage that has been caused, and that's where our focus lies. We have provided through the instrument of the reparations loan the facility whereby some of that funding could be used for ultimately meeting the cost of reparations. But we're not looking around the corner at different scenarios of Russia not being held accountable and Russia not being willing to pay, because from my perspective that would only provide them with another opportunity to avoid their responsibilities. They need to be held responsible for the loss of life, the damage to property, for the sexual violence that has been perpetrated on innocent victims in Ukraine. And today is about putting in place the legal architecture, and it's a very significant step, and we're delighted to be here to fully support it.
But how will you force the Russians to pay? They have to admit guilt and say, okay, I'm going to pay now.
Well, in accordance with international law, the obligations on Russia as the perpetrators of the harm and the damage is clear. And it will be for all of us who are invested in peace and security and in justice, and who recognise international law to ensure that the obligations under international law are fully vindicated.
Those arguments do not have any value to the Russians at this moment.
Well, there are negotiations underway, and we do hope that those negotiations come to a successful conclusion, because above all else we want to see an end to the Russian aggression. We want to see an end to the slaughter that has been happening, and to the loss of civilian life and the damage to property. And we are working with all of our international partners, including with the United States, in the achievement of that peace. But it needs to be a just and a lasting peace. And for it to be a just peace, there does need to be accountability. And this is part of that equation. Accountability, but also reparations in respect of the damage that has been caused. Thank you.
Thank you.